Hey! So I've been getting a lot of questions about balance and how to make balance better. And so I thought we would talk a little bit about that today. The first thing is going to be where you look, which in yoga or in Sanskrit, we call it your drishti point, which is your focal point, your gaze. It's where you're looking when you're doing the practice. If you're looking at the teacher, at the person next to you, if you're scanning the room when you're doing your practice and you're trying to balance on one foot, it's going to be very challenging for you to stay balanced in your pose. So whether you're on your forearms, your hands, your feet, wherever you're at, I highly recommend finding a drishti, a focal point that's not moving. So I like to look either straight in front of me, like a little dot on the wall, a speck on the floor, anything that's not moving, maybe a letter on a book if you have a bookshelf in front of you. The second thing is going to be your core. I believe that our cores help us with endless amounts of things in our practice. So the more you can strengthen your core and the more that you can engage that in any of your balance poses and bring that awareness to it, I feel the stronger and more capable we're going to be in the long term. The third tip is going to be your breath. So if you're in your tree pose and you are not breathing, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to hold that pose. So think about long, slow, steady breaths. And we want to do this through our whole practice, but I feel like it's really important during balance poses to help keep us steady. The fourth thing is going to be engagement. So I know we already talked about core, but I also want to talk about engagement. I like to think about engaging on all lines, on all fronts of the body, but some helpful tips will be to engage the arches. So you can actually think of this in the hand. So think of this as your arch. You really want to grip through the fingertips, and then all four corners of the palm are going to be really gripped into the floor. So if you're doing handstand or anything that's balancing on the hands, that's going to be very helpful. Even downward dog, that can be really helpful. But you can take this down to the feet, and you want to engage the inner line of the arch. So the inner line of the arch is going to be right here. And when you have your foot on the ground, you want to drag the foot together from the big toe and the big toe mound to the heel. So some of us have really lost that over time, but the more we can practice that, the more we can find engagement in our feet. When we're doing stuff standing on one leg, it's going to be a lot easier. Thinking about hugging the feet to the floor and cupping the feet with the inner arches. And then from there, it's muscle to bone. So if you're standing on one leg, you want to engage your glute and engage your thigh and try to lift everything up, lift the core up. And the final thing is going to be practice. Duh. So you have to practice if you want to get better at something. So if you work on your feet and you're able to stand on one foot. I used to work retail, and that's what I would do whenever I had the chance to, is I would stand with my foot up against my calf and I would just balance there, and that's how I got better at it. So practice, practice, practice. I feel like that's the most important part for long-term success. You may find, you'll definitely find improvement with those small things that you can do, but long-term, practice is your best friend. I hope these tips help, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and like it. I would love for you to subscribe, and if you have any questions, comment below.